what can $2 really get you nowadays? A candy bar, a smencil from the school store, a McChicken? Or how about Rouge Heroes, Ruins of Tasos, the basis of today's review video and a purchase for $2 that I do not regret. In this game, you play as a customizable hero picking from a wide array of classes to combat the evil forces of the land and seal them away through each of the 4 temple shrines. To be honest, the story is super bare bones, and if you are thinking this game looks an awful lot like the old Legend of Zelda games, yeah, it really is just that, but you can play it online at a fraction of the price. The thing is that Legend of Zelda style combat is not the only aspect of this game. To differentiate itself from the crowd a little bit, the game is structured like a roguelite in the way that you can build out a town and upgrade your powers each time you die. When in a dungeon, aside from completing it and getting a new permanent tool, you can also pick up gems that can later be converted into buildings and power-ups for faster swinging, more health, more damage, etc. It is a little lazy in its approach, but it does get the job done. Each of these buildings also open up more quests for you to complete around the world map, meaning there is less dungeon crawling and more of a focus on exploration. I didn't love it at first, but this mechanic really stood out to me since it made the game feel less linear, which the old Zelda games didn't always have. This opens it up to have a better multiplayer experience too, which is where this game really shines. This game handles multiplayer much better than the retro Zelda games. There are multiple classes for you to choose from, which can really round out your party's strengths and weaknesses to overcome different challenges. I love how someone can be more of a frontline focused fighter while another can take space and burn down enemies from afar, or your entire party by burning grass instead. It is also nice that even if a player dies, it is not over for them at all. They can still be revived at various fountains around the dungeons and contribute to exploration as a ghost. So even if you have that friend that maybe isn't as skilled as everyone else, they can still have fun. Not to mention, if they don't really like combat, you can mess around and gamble with the minigames in the tavern to pass the time. I, however, do not like how the camera functions in this game whatsoever. Oftentimes, if players want to do their own things, it is at the mercy of everyone else in the party, since instead of having your own camera for you, the camera is shared and expands, making it harder to focus on what it is that you want to do. Not to mention that your friends can just troll you and walk back and forth between screens indefinitely.
Stop. Who is doing? I'm about to leave. I'm actually about to leave.
Yeah, it's just a huge pain in the ass. But this is only the start of what this game suffers from. I mean, being on sale for $2, it makes sense as to why there are going to be some lazy aspects within it. The dungeon design is lazy, with room designs that get repetitive after a while. Sometimes the open world, while it is fun, is confusing, with a player exploring for half an hour just to find a dead end and getting nowhere, which might just be a skill issue. But anyways, these are things that are normal and come with the Legend of Zelda aesthetic and design, but nothing is more disappointing than the sound design, the sound effects, and the visuals. Anyone that has watched my reviews for a while understands that the atmosphere in the world plays a big part in how successful a game is in immersing the player and truly delivering a good time. The atmosphere of this game could use a lot of work, to say the least. To start, the visuals honestly aren't that bad. Yes, there are bats, snakes, and the classic spike balls, which are so obviously ripped from the Legend of Zelda series, but it is so difficult to make something interesting in this situation. They did make an attempt though, I gotta give it to them. Some of the enemies do have some life to them, like the mud monsters in the swamps or the rock golems in the fire biome. Speaking of biomes, they did a decent job making each and every one feel unique and that they had their own elements to it. The starting biome feels like home, and the mud biome was a nice relaxing new step. Come to think about it, I actually really appreciate that there was some deviation off of the common boggy swamp biome trope. Making it feel more muddy was much more aesthetically pleasing for me for whatever reason. This is similar to the fire biome not just being a basic desert either. That has to be my least favorite thing in games, when you just reuse the biomes we've seen a million times, but at least there was an attempt to shake things up a bit here. In terms of music and sound, this was disappointing without a doubt. The dungeons repeat the same songs over and over, and it's not even like they are bangers or anything either. It also doesn't help that the dungeons are more of the same room archetypes as well, even if it isn't the exact same layout every time. The sound effects are super bare bones, leading to the game just being super monotonous and hard to play by yourself without chipping away at it 1 hour at a time every now and then. It's a real shame because this was the way the game really could have stood out, along with some nice added new mechanics, but it was a completely missed opportunity. But even if the game gets repetitive after a bit, and it is strongly ripped from the Legend of Zelda series, it is still important to look at ways it really differentiated itself from the behemoth itself. Multiplayer and the different classes the game brings to the table is what really makes this game stand out to me. In the classic Zelda games, you are just Link with your tools, but the fact that you can change your kit to complement your playstyle is really unique and makes it fun to challenge yourself on the higher levels. Sure, the old Zelda games had multiplayer, but everyone would need to have a Nintendo system, buy the expensive game themselves, get to the point in the game where they're actually allowed to play with others, and the list goes on. Sure, you could emulate those games now, but come on. Realistically, not everyone is going to buy a Switch, and Steam is pretty accessible nowadays. In all reality, the game is not earth-shattering, and if you never played in your life, it's not like you were missing anything crazy. That being said, there are those times where you were sitting around with friends in a call with absolutely nothing going through your head, and it is nice to play something new every now and then. So if the game is on sale and you can pick it up for $2, I think it is absolutely worth it for the fun times you can have with your friends. But it is because of the very obvious shortcomings that I give Rouge Heroes Ruins of Tasos a light 5 out of 10. The game isn't incredible, but it isn't completely terrible either. There are times where I had a lot of fun with this game, but there are also times where it's just kind of whatever and boring. Overall, for $2, I can't really complain. The game definitely delivered more fun than what I paid for. That being said, anything more than that though, and we would have some problems. What do you all think of Rouge Heroes Ruins of Tasos? Do you love it, hate it, never want to play it? Let me know in the comments down below. Aside from that, thank you all so much for watching. But until next time, I've got to peace out and Paz out. I'll see you in the next one.